So yesterday, as I was watching a whole bunch of other people give their presentations, they all had a bunch of stuff to throw out to the audience to sort of get you guys engaged. And I don't have as good of a budget as Justine, so I just grabbed some toilet paper from my hotel room. Anyone want some toilet paper? Let's do it. I've TP'd a lot of houses in my day. So. Perfect. Yes. Keep it going. So, a lot of you probably know who I am, but for those of you who don't, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Dan Brown. I am 20 years old. I'm a video blogger from Lincoln, Nebraska, and most importantly, on this oh-so-special day, I have a super-duper, top-secret project to announce to all of you. Are you ready to hear what my super-duper top-secret project is? Well, too bad, because I'm not ready to tell you what it is just yet. I figured that if I'm going to be imparting such a valuable nugget of knowledge upon all of your noggins, that it's only fair I ask for a little bit of something in return. So here's the deal. I've been video blogging for about 3 years now, and over the course of those 3 years, I've made somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 videos. And at the beginning of almost every single one of those videos, I start with the same two words. I say, hey, and I say world. But what you have to understand about when I film is that I'm down in my basement, home alone, just talking to my camera, and when you say the oh-so-cheery greeting, hey world, no one's there to respond to you, that's depressing. That's really not very good for my self-esteem. So I was wondering if you would be so kind. Would you be the first audience to respond to me when I say, hey world? Okay, so here's how it's going to work. In order to maximize the dynamic intensity of this truly monumental moment in the history of my universe, I want us all to get quiet. Get really quiet. Super quiet. Admire the silence. They're loud back there. But okay, here's how it's going to get down. I'm going to say, hey world. And as soon as I do, I want you to say in unison, as loud as you can, hey Dan, back to me. Here we go. Hey world! Hey Dan! Yes! Oh yes! Oh! So if a genie was to come up to me right now and say, Dan Brown, I have invented this new technology which will allow you to plant your existence at any point on the entire space-time continuum that you choose. You can live at any time period that you want. I would say, Mr. Genie, I really do admire the technology that you've invented. I really do appreciate the fact that you thought to come to me first. But I'm going to have to respectfully decline because I live in the year 2010. And the year 2010 was one of the coolest years, the coolest year that we could possibly live in. We are a privileged generation. We have witnessed the birth and the rise of the single most important invention in all of human history, and that is, of course, the internet. As a result of the internet, more people from more places are connected to and interacting with more other people from more other places than ever before in all of human history. And I mean, I know we all know that. I know we tend to take that for granted, but just stop and think about that for a minute. I mean, that has huge implications for politics, has huge implications for business, has huge implications for, wait for it, media. So with that established, it's no secret that I have a secret project, and it is no longer a secret that my secret project is called Dan 3.0. And I want to explain to you what Dan 3.0 is today, but before you can understand Dan 3.0, it's important that you also understand what Dan 1.0 and Dan 2.0 are. So, without further ado, Dan 1.0. In spite of his slightly pedophilic tendencies, in the sense that he likes to watch children while they sleep, and in spite of the fact that he's pretty obviously a communist sympathizer, in the sense that he wears red and gives things away for free, I still come down pretty solidly on the pro-Santa Claus side of things. And let me explain to you why. It was December 25th, 1999, Christmas morning. I was 9 years old, and Santa Claus got for me the most important gift of my entire life. A gift without which I would not be standing in front of you today. And that was my first ever pogo stick. And now at the time I lived in Michigan, so I didn't have a chance to use it right away. There was this thing called lake effect snow. But once all the snow had melted, and once I had enough time off of school, I took to my driveway and I learned how to bounce on this pogo stick without falling off. And for most kids that probably would have been enough. And admittedly for me that probably would have been enough. Except for one thing. This was the era of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And while I was a newfound pogo sticking aficionado, I was even more so at that time a PlayStation button mashing aficionado. So when the opportunity presented itself to me to invent a new extreme sport for which I could potentially be that Tony Hawk Godfather figure, I was all over that. So I spent the next couple of weeks learning how to spin the pogo stick around, jump with no hands, jump over my family's recycling bin. I was a pogo sticking machine, and I was damned proud of it. Now, around the same time that I got my first pogo stick, my family got its first internet connection. And I didn't use the internet for much of anything back then. It was mainly just something that my parents used to talk to other old people. But one day, on a whim, I decided to do a search and see if there was anyone else out there who did stuff with pogo sticks similar to what I did with pogo sticks. And lo and behold, there was. There's a guy named Dave. He lived out in Utah. And he had a website that he started where he just posted pictures of the tricks that he did. And on this website, there was a forum. I don't have time to go over the entire history of me and xpogo.com, but suffice it to say that I joined the forum. It became a hugely important part of my life. The internet supported my pogo sticking habit, but more importantly, in retrospect, my pogo sticking habit supported my internet habit. So fast forward to 2004, the community on xpogo had grown to about 50 really active members and a couple hundred extra members that would log in every once in a while. And we would always talk about how cool it would be to have some sort of a pogo sticking gathering, some sort of a competition. But we were always just kind of waiting for someone to do it for us, until one day I got sick of waiting for someone to do it for us. My mom is a pastor at a church, and so I said, hey Mom, can we borrow the church parking lot someday? And she said, sure. And so I posted on the forum, August 13th, come one, come all, Pogo-Palooza, Lincoln, Nebraska. If you want, you can stay in my basement. And so eight different pogo stickers from all around the country came, and they stayed in my basement. And, you know, my mom had to talk to their parents, and their parents had to talk to my mom to make sure that I wasn't a child molester, and make sure they weren't child molesters. And there were no child molesters. And Pogo-Palooza happened. And, I mean, the event itself wasn't anything huge or spectacular. There were probably 30 or so spectators, but that's not what was so cool about Pogo-Palooza. What was cool about Pogo-Palooza was the fact that this online community that, you know, we'd all been a part of for years, we'd been interacting with each other for years, suddenly became an in real life community.